לפניך רוח חיים וקיים. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We rise together on page 103, Morning Blessings of Gratitude, Birchot Hashach.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לסחביבינה להבחין בין יום ובין לילה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני בצלמו.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני בת חורין.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני ישראל.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם פוקח עברים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מלביש ערומים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מתיר אסורים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם זוקף גמומים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם רוקע הארץ על המים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המכין מצעדי עוול.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשה לי כל צורכי.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם עושה ישראל בגבורה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מותיר ישראל בתפארה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם הנותן יעב כוח.
אמן.
122.
ברוך שאמר היה עולם ברוך הוא.
עושה בראשים עושה בגוזר מקיים ברוך מלכם מסך הטוב. יש בו
יחיד חי מלך משובח ומפואר את שמו הגדול. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מעולם ותשבחו.
Amen. You may be seated.
So Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom,
friends. It's great to see everyone here on this Labor Day weekend Shabbat, which is usually a quiet Shabbat, so extra appreciation for being here. And of course, those joining us on live stream. We're so glad we're here to celebrate Shabbat together. So this week's Torah portion is Shoftim, which means judges. I was just remembering this morning as we were preparing to come out here that this is the Torah portion from our Ufruf, the Shabbat before we got married. So I always feel a special appreciation of this Torah portion, a special connection. And this Torah portion opens up with the line, Shoftim ushotrim, titein lecha b'chol sha'arecha, that you should put judges and guards or officers before all of your gates. And of course, the most literal understanding of this line is literally that we should set up a just and civil society in which people can ultimately feel that justice prevails and that they're safe in their homes and in their communities. But of course, the Hasidic masters read this line as an internal, an inner life warning and guidance, that we should put Shoftim, little judges, and Shotrim, little officers, in front of all the gates of our hearts on the inside. And we're now a week into the month of Elul as we are preparing for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And so it's really a reminder to us, I think, these instructions to put these little wise and skilled witnesses in front of the different layers of our heart to help guide us on our path as we make our way ever closer to the holidays. And just one other nuance that I learned this week, that sha'ar is a gate, L'sha'er is actually to imagine. And so one Hasidic master suggests that we're actually putting judges and Shoftim officers around our imagination, which isn't to say that we shouldn't use our imagination. Having a rich imagination is part of the beauty and wonder of the human experience. But everybody in their own way knows that an imagination without a wise witness can actually be destructive. And so how do we, again, sort of put those wise witnesses in place to help ensure that we're on a good and healthy and life-affirming path? So with that, we prepare for davening this morning with Psalms. And we're going to begin, as always, during the month of Elul with Psalm 27, which is on page 113. Just skipping down about 8 or 9 lines to Achat Sha'alti. The one thing we ask is that we can dwell in God's house, and that we can feel God's presence. Achat Sha'alti me Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota avakesh, Achat Sha'alti me'et Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota avakesh. Shifti, shifti, beveit Adonai. Shifti, shifti, kol yemei chayai. Shifti, shifti, beveit Adonai. Shifti, Noam Adonai, ulakeh bechalo, lachazot benoam Adonai, ulakeh bechalo. Continue with Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha, page 136. Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha, Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha.
מלכותך מלכות כל התורה ולכולך וחושן. עלייה.
ואנחנו נברך מעתה ועד עולם. הללויה. Continue with Psalm 150 on page 141. 141. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Auzo, Hallelu, Vimorata, Hallelu, Erogulo, Hallelujah, 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 Take a shofar, Hallelujah, Benevel v'chinor, Hallelujah, Betov u'machol, Hallelujah, Beminim ve'ugav, Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah,
Hallelujah,
Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Betzil teleshama, Hallelujah, Betzil teletrua, kol haneshama, Hallelujah, kol haneshama, Hallelujah, 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 na na na, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Shama de Hallelujah, Kol haneshama de Hallelujah. Take a deep breath, Neshima Mukha. Continue with Nishmat Kol Chai. The breath of every living being is a blessing. Page 145. Nishmat Kol Chai, Tevarech et Shimcha, Adonai Eloheinu. Nishmat Kol Chai, Tevarech et Shimcha, Adonai Eloheinu.
השונים האחרונים, ילמים עשויים קיין נקייה, ונודות לך נדענו. Bottom 146.
הגיבור הנורא, אל עליון בונה שמיים הארץ, נעלה לך נשבחך נפארך נברך את שם קודשך גמור, לדוד ברכי נפשלי בכור רבי, את שם קודשו.
147.
האל בצעצמות עוזך, הגדול בכבוד שמך, הגיבור לנצח והנורא בנורותיך, המלך היושב על כיסא נעם ונישא, שוכן הר הרוב וקדוש שמו,
וכדור הצדיקים באדוני יושבים נבע תהילה,
בפי ישרים תתעלה,
ובדברי צדיקות תתברך,
ובלשון חסדים תתרומם,
ובקרב קדושים
תתקדש, ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל.
להודות, לשבח, לפעל,
להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפעל, לרומם, לדבר, לברך, להקלס על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות. דוד בן ישי, עבדך,
148.
משיחך,
ישתבח שמך לעד
מלכנו.
המלך הגדול הקדוש בשמיים ובראש הנצח.
ברכות והודות ואתה ועד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני המלך גדול בתשבחות, אל הדעות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך העולמים. יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ברמה תברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון יומכון ובחית כל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב ימרו אמן.
ישמע במורה לעולם ועד מיה.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו, לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ויאמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. 150.
ברוך אתה.
ברוך אתה
אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל.
הכל ידוך וגוי ישבחוך קדוש כאדוני וסלם. פוטה בכל יום דתו שבי מלא צפוניים מלא רחמים וטובו מחדש בכל יום דמים מעשה.
אין כרך אדוני לעולם העולם הזה ואין זאת חמקן עליך עולם הבא. אפס פתח גודל מות המשיח ואין דבר חשיינו לתחיית המתים.
151.
אל אדון כל המעשים ברוך ומבורך לפי כל נשמה, ולא מדומה לעולם דעת אדון הסובב עמודו, המתגאה על החיות הקודש ונהדר בכבוד על המרכבה. מלכותו קרא לשם ויזרחו והבין תורת הלבנה, שבענונים לא עוזב עברום, תפארת וגדולה שרפים ויובנים וחיות הקודש. שווה מכל המעשים.
משה למשה תעבדו לאדוני. יאמר ישראל הקודם. תתברך
תונני מכירים וכל
ישבח שמך מוקין השכונה. Top 153.
כולם
אהובים, ראויים, גיבורים, כולם עושים מאימה וביראה,
רצון גונם וכולם פותחים בפיהם בקדושה בתורה בשירה ובזמרה ומברכים ושברים ומפארים ומריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול הגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא וכולם מקבלים עליהם עול מלכות שמיים זה מזה ונותנים רשות זה לזה להקדיש ליוצרם לנחת רוח בשפה ורעה ובנימה קדושה כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות ולא ערב כבודו והאופנים והחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מנסים לעומת סרבים לעומת המשבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו
ליל ברוך ניבות אליך וכסך השבן יוכל
הוא אל גבורות שעושה
יש מסר ושינוי אור חדש
אור חדש על ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות.
Amen. 154. Bring our tzitzit together for Shema Yisrael. Ava Rabbav Tanu Ranoenu Chemla Derav Yisrael Chamat Alinu V'Rachaman Amrachim Rachim Va'eren Yenu Dapet Nagil Nispacha B'Shvotecha B'Shvat Adam Yava
וקרבתנו לשמך הקדוש עלה באמת להודות לך ויחדך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני
Baruch Auk Shemo
הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל ידיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם בבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך וקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
Page 156, Vayim Shemot,
והיה עם
Tishmot
שמוע
Ashnochim,
תשמעו
Etzaveh. Charav Hashanah, Lo Teshem Samah. Dav Samah Zech Mish.                                                                                                                   خاتم الكامل.
הדור, הוא קיים וחושמו קיים וחיסון נכון ומלכותו ומלכותו לעד קיימת.
157. ראשונים אחרונים.
המת שאתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו מלכנו מלך אבותינו ואמותינו גואלנו גואל אבותינו ואמותינו יוצרנו צור ישועתנו הודנו ומצילנו מעולם שמך אלוהים זולתך עזרת אבותינו אמותינו אמתהו מעולם.
Middle 158.
מי כמוך בלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נוראתי לא תוספת שירה חדשה שבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל עובדכנו מלך יהודה וישראל קומו עלינו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל.
Have our feet together towards Jerusalem, pages 159 to 161 together, and the rest is done silently.
Adonai sefatai tiftach uvi agitecha baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו ויאהבה מלך עוזר ופוקד מושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיים מתים את הרב להושיע מוריד הטל מחלקל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומראיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בגבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה מתים אמן כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרור הכדור היה נביאך והרב זה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות ולכל הארץ יבודו אז באור רעש גדול אדיר ועזק משמיעים בו מנזים לעומת סרט
נגיד ואנחנו לך מתי תמלוך בציון בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד ישכון ידי תתגדל ותתגדל בתוך ירושלים עירך לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים בינינו תרנה מלכותך ושבחך ונביאים לו שני לבית ילמלך גדול וקדוש אתה ברוך אתה אדוני הקדוש. Amen. In your silent prayer.
חדש ימינו כקדם, השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם.
In 167.
יתקדש יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה בעלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי וחיי חונו ממכון ובחית כל בית ישראל בגלה וזמן קריב וימרו אמן ישמרה במברך לעולם עולם והלוויה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל על שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בלמאים ימרו אמן תתקבץ לא תנבותם לכל ישראל קדם אבוהון די וישמעיה וימרו אמן יהי שלום אברהם מן שמעיה וחיים עלינו וכל ישראל וימרו אמן עושה שלום ורומם ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל וימרו אמן אין כמוך אלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור אדוני מלך אדוני מלך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום אב הרחמים היטיב אביב שונאך את ציון תבנה חומת ירושלים כי בך לבד פתחנו נלך אליו ונישא אדון עולמים ויהי מנשוא אהרון ויאמר משה קומה אדוני ויחוצו אויביך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי בציון תצא תורה בציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים בראש שנתן תורה תורה בראש שנתן תורה תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד
שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד
אחד אלוהינו גדול אדוננו קדוש שמו
אחד אלוהינו גדול אדוננו קדוש שמו
גדלו לאדוני איתי ונרום מה שבו יחדיו לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד כי כל בשמיים ובארץ כי כל בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני הממלכה והמין הזה לכל ראש לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד כי כל בשמיים ובארץ כי כל בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני הממלכה והמין הזה לכל ראש רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו לדם רגליו קדוש הוא רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו Ki kadosh Adonai Elohim. Good job. Yalla, yalla, la, la, yalla, yalla, la, la, yalla, yalla, la,
Be seated, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, Varach. Great to see our chevra here on the Labor Day Shabbos weekend. Parshat Shoftim. You can follow in the larger red books, page 1099, chapter 19, verse 14. Vayazor v'agim v'shchazim bo v'namar amen hakol havu godel Eloheinu kavod laTorah yamdu Shimon mibeit David haKohen v'tzipora Rachel Miriam bat Goda al Aliyah Rishona Baruch Shatan Torah Yisrael b'rishato v'atem eihem hayrohem hayom. Shoftim, judges.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Lo tasi givul re'acha asher gavlu rishonim binachalatecha asher tinchal ba'aretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha l'rishta lo yakum ed echad be'ish lecha lavonu lecha chatat b'chol chet asher yechata al pi shnei edim. Oh, api shlosha edim yakum davar, ki yakum ein chamas beish, la'ano bo sarah, ve'abdu shnei ha'anashim, asher lehem hariv lifnei Adonai, lifnei hakohanim v'hashotim, asher yihiu bayamim hahem, v'darshu hashoftim heitev, והנה עד שקר העד שקר ענה באחיו ועשיתם לו כאשר זמם לעשות לאחיו ובערת הרע מקרבך והנשארים ישמעו ויראו ולא יוסיפו לעשות עוד כדבר הרע הזה בקרבך ולא תחוס עיניך נפש בנפש Ayin ba'ayin, shein b'shein, yad b'yad, regel b'regel.
Oh, yeah.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Shekor, kol hakavod. Beautiful job. It's a reminder to all of our readers as we switch each time to either stay up, as Richard's doing beautifully, and show the next line, or to use the pomegranate, or to do both. Okay. Second Aliyah, page 1101, chapter 20, verse 1. Tamod Ravaya Yael bat Avram Sara Aliyah Shenit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki tetzeh lamilchama al ovecha v'ra'ita sus v'rechev amrav mimcha lo tira mehem ki Adonai Elohecha imach hamalcha me'eretz Mitzrayim v'haya כקרבכם אל מלחמה, וניגש הכהן ודיבר אל העם, ואמר עליהם שמע ישראל, אתם קרבים hayom למלחמה על אביכם, thank you. אויביכם, אל יירק לבבכם, אל תיראו ואל
Bezoo.
Yeah.
Tachbezu.
I got it. I lost my place. Thank you. ואל תחפזו ואל תארצו מפניהם, כי אדוני אלוהיכם על העם, על ההולך. Again, I'm in the wrong line. Adonai Elohechem haholech imachem lehilachem lachem im ovechem lehoshia etchem.
Shekoyach, Devorah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan. Oh. Sorry, wrong one. Asher natan lanu Torah demet ve'hayei olam natan b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shekoach. I want you to Robin, in addition with Robin and Wayne, such amazing people, part of our community, but Robin's also has risen up with Lynn Sandberg, be presidents and leaders of our sisterhood. Look forward to a lot of awesome programming come in the years to come. Please God, right? Looking forward to it. Shekoach, Robin. All right, our third aliyah. We are now verse 5, page 1102. Yamod Daniel ben Pesach Rachel Aliyah Shlishit.
Baruch Hu es Adonai Baruch. Baruch Adonai Baruch Yolam V'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher B'Kabanu Mikol Amim V'Notan Lanu Et Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'dibru hashoterim el ha'am lemor. Mi ha'ish asher bana vayit chadash v'lo chanacho yelech v'yashov leveito pen yamut b'milchama v'ish acher yachnechenu u'mi ha'ish asher nata kerem v'lo chilelo yelech v'yashov leveito pen yamut b'milchama v'ish acher yechalelenu Umi ha'ish asher eras isha velo lekacha yelech v'yashov leveito pen yamut b'milchama v'ish acher yikachena v'yasefu hashoterim ledaber el ha'am ve'amaru mi ha'ish hayare v'rach halevav Yelech v'yashov leveito v'lo yimas et levav echav kilvavo v'haya kechalot hashoterim ledaber el ha'am ufakedu shir sarei tzvaot berosh ha'am.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Notan Lanu Torah Demet Chayei Olam V'Tabet Tochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Shekoach. Hold your spot, Rabbi Steve. We now turn to our fourth aliyah, verse 10, page 1103. This person is being called up. I invite all to please rise. We'll offer Amisha Berach for Cholim. Yamod. Pinchas ben Lev Alevi v'estegitel aliyah revi'it. As I pause in this prayer, I invite us to hold close and offer the names quietly of those we're holding in our hearts in need of healing, both body and soul. Mi sheberach avotenu, Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Yosef Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech v'rapeh et achulim v'samod הקדוש ברוך הוא מרחמים עליהם להחזיקם רפאותם וישלח מרפואה שמעטפת הנפש ואת הגוף בתוך שאר החולים וחזק ידי העוסקים בצורכיהם שבת מזוג ורפא כבוד לבוא השתה בגלה בזמן קריב ונאמר Amen. May the Holy One have blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessing and healing to all those we pray for. May the Holy One mercifully restore them to health and vigor, granting them spiritual and physical well-being, together with all others who are ill. May God grant strength to those who tend to them. The Shabbat is a time to refrain from crying out. We hope and pray that healing is at hand. And let us say together, Amen. El na revana la, el na revana la, el na revana la, revuah shelema. El na revana la, el na revana la, el na revana la, revuah shelema. You may be seated. Fourth Aliyah, verse 10, page 1103.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch levrach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai HaMavarach Olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher Toranu mikol ha'amim v'nasan lanu es Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki tikra havel ir leki lachem alecha v'karata alecha l'shalom v'chayim shalom tancha ufatcha lecha lach v'chaya bo ha'am hanimtza yiyu lecha lamas v'avaducha v'im lo tashlim imach v'asita imcha milchama v'tzarta alecha untana Adonai Elohecha biyadecha v'hikita et kol zachura lefi charev rak ha'anashim v'hataf v'chabchema v'chol asher yiyeh va'ir kol shalalata v'hozlach v'chalta et shalach aloivecha asher natan Adonai Elohecha
Lach.
Shkoyach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'ha'olam natan b'tzoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'torah.
Amen. Shkoyach. Paul.
We continue now with the fifth Aliyah, page 1104, verse 15. Ya'amod Natan ben Bela ve Michol HaKohen la'Aliyah Chamishi.
Baruch hu Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. כן תעשה לכל הערים הרחוקות ממך מאוד אשר לא אראה הגויים אלהנה רק מהרי העמים האלה אשר נא אלוהיך נותן לך נחלה לא תחיה כל נשמה כי אחריהם דחרים מהם החיתי המאמורי הכנעני והפריזי החיבי והיבוסי כאשר ציווך אדוני אלוהיך למען אשר לא ילמדו אתכם לעשות ככל טובתם אשר עשו לאלוהיהם וחטאתם לאדוני אלוהיכם כי תצור אל העיר ימים רבים מלחם עליה תופזה. לא תשחית את עצה לנדוח עליו גרזן, כי ממנו תאכל ואותו לא תכרות. כי אדם עץ השדה, לבוא לפניך במצור. רק עץ אשר תדע, כי לא עץ מחל, הוא אותו תשחית וחרעת, ובנית מצור על העיר אשר היא עושה עמך מלחמה רעידתה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shekoyach.
Continuing now, the sixth Aliyah, page 1105, verse 1. Ya'amon Morenu Harav Moshe Shlomo ben Rachmiel ve'Esther le'Aliyah Shishi.
Melech HaMashiach. Baruch Adonai Borach.
Baruch Adonai Borach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Borach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
כי ימצא חלל באדמה אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך על רשתה, נפל בשדה. נופל בשדה, ונודע מי יכהו, ויצאו זקניך ושופטיך, ומדדו אל הערים אשר סביבות החלל, והיה העיר הקרובה אל החלל, ולקחו זקני העיר ההיא עגלת בקר, אשר לא בד בה, אשר לא משכה בעול, והורידו זקני העיר ההיא את עגלה אל נחל איתן, אשר לא יאבד בו ולא יזרע, ורפו שם את העגלה בנחל, ונקשו הכהנים בני לוי, כי בם בחר אדוני אלוהיך לשרתו, וברך בשם אדוני, ועל פיהם יהיה כל ריב וכל נגע, וכל זקני העיר. וכל זקני העיר ההיא הקרובים אל החלל יחצו את ידיהם, העגלה ערפה בנחל, וענו ואמרו ידינו לא שפכה את הדם הזה, ועינינו לא ראו כפר לעמך ישראל אשר פדית אדוני. I think I'm going too far.
Sorry.
That's correct. That's why
Okay.
I went too far. That's why I don't know. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. I knew what I learned over 24 hours. All right. Our seventh Aliyah. I happen to know that's a famous passage, but I don't want to keep messing it up. All right. יעמדו שמעון מאיר בן לאה ויוסף הכהן עליה השביעית. Spot it. Lama? Because I got a little confused up there.
Here somewhere.
Okay. נכון. כן, נכון. It's over here.
Ve'anu ve'amro.
I just finished this passage.
Anu ve'amro.
I think I practiced out of the wrong scroll, so it's not where I was expected.
Vanin, it's over here. Anu v'amro.
There it is.
Seventh Aliyah, verse 7, 1106.
Baruch hu es Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'nasan lanu es toraso. Baruch atah Adonai nosen haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'anu ve'amru yadeinu lo shapchu et hadam hazeh ve'einenu lo ra'u kaper le'amcha Yisrael asher padita Adonai ve'al titein dam naki bekerev amcha Yisrael v'nikaper lahem hadam ve'ata teva'er hadam hanaki mikirbecha ki ta'aseh hayashar
B'nei Adonai shekoyach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nosan lanu toras emes v'chayei olam nata b'sochenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen. Shekoach. We rise together. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד יבחרותיו למענותיו, וביומנו וידעו בית ישראל, ועגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו, אמן שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתבר ונרמם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמר ורשע ברכו לילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה ושפחתה ונחמתה דמירם בימה וימרו. Amen. May be seated. Verse 7, page 1106. יעמוד יעקב משה בן אליהו וברחליה המפטיר.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamavorah.
Baruch Adonai
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'anu ve'yamaru yadeinu lo shapchu et hadam hazeh ve'einenu lo ra'u kaper le'amcha Yisrael asher patita Adonai v'al titein dam naki becherev amcha Yisrael v'nikaper lahem hadam ve'ata teva'er Adam hanaki mikirbecha ki ta'aseh hayashar b'nei Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. All right, shall we rise together, lift and dress the Sefer Torah? Yamod Adam ben Natan Rosh Hashanah Magbiya Tamod Este barav v'sara golele v'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei Israel al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Maybe see everyone. So, number 8, the Haftarah from Yaakov Moshe, page 1108, 1108, the prophet Isaiah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzav v'divreihem ha'ne'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher baTorah uv Moshe avdo uv Yisrael amo uvinviei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Anochi, Anochi, hu menachem mi'at v'tirei me'enosh yamut umi ben adam chatzir v'naten. Vatishkach Adonai osecha notesh shamayim ve'yosed aretz vatifacher tamid kol hayom mipenei chamat hametzik Ka'asher konen lehashchit ve'ayeh chamat hametzik mihar zo'elehi pateach velo yamut lashachat velo yechsar lachmo. Ve'anochi Adonai Elohecha roga hayam vayechemu galav Adonai tzivaot shemoho. Va'asim devarai beficha uvtsehel yadi kesiticha linto hashamayim velisod aretz vele mohor litzion amiataha. Hitoreri kumi Yerushalayim asher shatit miyad Adonai et kohos chamato et kubat kos hatarela shatit matzit. Ein minachela mikobanim yalada ve'ein machatzik biyadaha mikobanim gidelaha. Shetayim heina korotaich miyanuhud lach hashod v'shever v'hara'ah v'hacherev anachamech banaich ulefuhu shachvu berosh kol chutzot beketoho michmar Hamleim Hamat Adonai Ga'arat Elohayich Lachein Shim'i Nahatzot Aniyah Ushchurat Velo Miyayin Ko Amar Adonai Adonai Velo Hayich Yariv Amoho Hine Lakachti Miyadech et kus Miyadech et kohos hatar ela, et kubat kohos chamati lotosifi lishto ta'od. V'samti habiyad mogayich asher ameruhu v'nafshech shechihi v'na'avora v'tasimi ka'aretz gevech v'chachutz la'ovrihim. Uri, leave she uzech tzion, leave she bigdei tifartech, Yerushalayim ir hakodesh, ki lo yosif, yavo vachod arech v'tameh. Hit na'ari me'afar, kumi shevi Yerushalayim, hit patechi moserei, tzavarech, shevia bat Zion. Ki ho amar Adonai, hinam nimkartehem, velo v'chesef tiga elu. Ki ho amar Adonai Elohim Mitzrayim Yarad Amihi Virishona Lagur Sham Ve'ashur be'efesh ashako Ve'ataha malipo ne'um Adonai Kim lukaha michinaham mishlahav Yehelihu ne'um Adonai Betamid kol hayom shemimino ahatz. Lachen yadei ami shemihi, lachen bayom hahu, ki ani hu ham medaber hineni. Manavu al haharim ragle mevaser. Masmiach shalom, mevaser tov mishmiya. Mashmiya Yeshua Omer Litzion Malach Elohayich Kol Sofayich Nasu Kol Yachdav Yeranenu Ki Ayin Be'ayin Yeru Beshuv Adonai Tzion Pitzchu Rananu Yachdav Harvot Yerushalayim Kinicham Adonai Amoho Ga'al Yerushalayim Chasach Adonai et Zero Oakado Kodsho Le'enei Kol Hagoyim Ve'ra'u Kol Afsei Aretz Eit Yeshuat Eloheinu Suru Tseu Misham Tamei Altigau Seu Mitocha Hibaru No Seke Le'Adonai כי לא וחיפזון תצאו ובמנו סלו תלכון כי הולך לפניכם אדוני ומוסיפכם אלוהי ישראל. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh ha'medaber umkayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ne'emanim devarecha v'davar echad midvarecha achor lo yashuv rekam ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman ata baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav.
Amen.
Al Tzion ki beit chayenu v'la'aluvat nefesh toshia b'mheira v'yameinu baruch atah Adonai v'sameach Sion b'vanecha.
Amen.
Samechenu Adonai Eloheinu be'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha uv'malchut beit David mishihecha b'mheira yavo v'yagel libenu al ki solo yeshev zar v'lo yinchalu od achirim et kivodo ki v'shem kod shecha nishbata lo shelo yichben ero le'olam va'ed baruch atah Adonai Magen David.
Amen.
Al haTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al ha'nevi'im v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod u'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarechim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. Shekach. Come on, a beautiful job. We rise together on page 183. Return the Sefer Torah back to the ark. Yehalelu.
יהללו את שם אדוני כי נשגב שמו לבדו הודו על ארץ בשמיים וירם כהרף לעמו תהילה לכל חסידיו לבני ישראל הקרובו הללויה הללויה מזמור לדוד המו לאדוני בני אלים המו לאדוני כבוד ועוז המו לאדוני כבוד שמו השתחוו לאדוני באדרת קודש כל אדוני למים מרכבות רבים אדוני על מים רבים כל אדוני בכוח כל אדוני בהדר כל אדוני שובר ארזים וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון וירקידים כמו עגל לבנון וסיריון כמו בן רמים כל אדוני יכיל מדבר לאדוני יכיל מדבר יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש כל אדוני יכול אלי עלות ויחשוף יערות וחלוק כולו מרכבות אדוני למבול ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני עוז לעם ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום עץ חיים היא למחזה בתום חייה מאושר. רחיה דרכיה וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש חדש ימינו חדש ימינו כקדם.
Maybe see everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So we're going to study Torah as we do every Shabbat. You can find the selections of Torah that we're going to study together on the back of your bulletin. This, of course, is Labor Day weekend, and Eric got an invitation from a local leader who's involved in the labor movement in general. The invitation was to offer some Torah in connection with Labor Day. I actually had to look back myself to remember what the history is of Labor Day. I'm sure many of you know better than I, but basically, in the late 19th century, trade unionists, among others, really began to organize themselves. By no surprise, there were many Jewish people who were at the forefront of various different labor movements. And I think, and they worked very hard to establish a one day of the year in which those who were involved in sort of certain labor industries would be able to rest. So putting aside the politics of it all, you can find Jews on every side of the issue of unions and labor rights. I think, obviously, those of you, all of you know that the Torah has a lot to say about work, about the nobility of work, about how to treat workers properly, about how to create a society in which those who do all kinds of work are both compensated, protected, honored. And so the selections from our sacred texts that we wanted to bring this morning really invite us to consider kind of deeper wisdom and the holiness of what it means to work. Okay, anything you want to add to that about Labor Day?
Fantastic.
All right, so there are three text selections here, and we're going to read the first one out. It is it's sort of a riff or a commentary on a line that is very famous in the book of Deuteronomy, which says, choose life, choose life. Well, what does that actually mean? As usual, our rabbinic sources come to interpret, to help offer us possibilities for what our Torah is trying to teach us. So when it's, maybe Eric, you can, Rabbi Eric can
Rabbi
read the
Ishmael
text.
taught, choose life. What does that mean? This refers to a craft or a trade. Basically, so when it means to choose life, that means to therefore choose to have a craft or learn a craft or learn a trade. Basically.
Exactly. We could imagine it would mean many things.
Right.
And in fact, many other rabbis offer other interpretations of what it means to choose life. But for Rabbi Ishmael, according to the Talmud, what he understands this to mean is that to choose life is to choose a craft or a trade. So what do you think?
What's the take on
What do you think this means? How is choosing a craft or
like
a trade
choosing life altogether?
equated to choosing life?
Good question. Very Talmudic.
All right, Henry.
Dr. Henry, it's gone.
I think that it's more general. It means be productive.
Ah.
That's an important part of life, is to be productive in some way.
Wonderful. So Henry's suggesting this is really a general statement about the importance of being productive, of contributing to society by lending your, I'm embellishing what you said, Henry, but by lending your gifts and your energy and your effort towards doing something productive in the world.
So Henry, I think there's two ways to read it also about Henry. I'm riffing on Henry, okay? It's like one way is to choose a well-lived life. That's one way to say it. I think it may what you're, let me just say, but other one is literally, there is no life without a trade, that someone can feel a sense of great lack
Chisaron.
Right. And what I think this is, of course, powerful for some of us in our congregation, perhaps who have retired, right, is that even though retired is not the same, and this is a different dynamic of work, the history of work is different, but this idea that, like, one has had such a life calling, there can be a kind of a feeling that one is no longer living fully when they're not working in the way they once did. By the way, it doesn't mean you don't do work in other ways, right? So that's why Henry says be productive. Be productive does not necessarily mean you have to keep doing the same craft you did when you were in your 20s. So I think it's what says your life is well lived when you learn a trade, and your life is meaningful. It's actually if you're fulfilling your life, you're kind of you're alive when you're productive. I think it's both ways of looking at it.
Great. Okay, Adi Risa.
Yeah.
A pediatric oncologist was like very intense, but she just missed the environment of being a helper. So I just that's exactly what you were saying. Is that like it's not the same work, and it can't be the same work, but in some ways the work she needed anyway.
Beautiful. So Adi volunteered at St. Timothy's last year, and one of the things
the rabbi's kid, St. Timothy's.
He actually gave quite a few Torah sermons there. He taught them about tefillin and talit.
All right, Dee, tell him at the finish. All right, Dee.
But he said one of the things he did is he shadowed the nurse there who, in a prior iteration of her career, had been in pediatric oncology.
How intense that
but
is?
she missed it so much. She eventually decided the work was too intense. She needed to take a break. But she came back as a school nurse in a very different capacity because there was some part of her life that was lacking by missing that professional work. All right, Risa, then Deborah.
Yeah. I know. We're thinking about it. Yes. Wow.
Nice.
Wow. I think it's very profound what you're saying.
Yeah.
Very profound.
Yes. Great. Great. So Reese is making 2 points. The first is that there's a danger in idleness. When we don't have something to do, a craft or a trade, too much time on our hands can be dangerous. And also saying that, for anybody who's experienced any kind of depression, you know what it is to make an active choice, to really choose life. And part of what that means is being out there in the world and contributing and feeling, I think, your worthiness.
I think that one of the challenges is that what if your craft, your trade, due to some challenge beyond just the emotional, like a physical ailment, right? Let's say you used to serve. I know this in our own community. Some people have been physicians or even been involved in other work where your body is needed for it, and then you get hurt. And how do you continue to be productive, but in a way that's different because your body has changed or even aged, right? I can appreciate that now at 50. But even that in the process of getting hurt.
You may have to choose again.
Right. And how do you choose a new way? I think it's a remarkable, what it means to choose to live, but not to recognize that your body may not be in the same place it may have been before. I remember my parents are both public school teachers, and there were teachers that became disabled when they couldn't stand anymore. Teachers have to, for the most part, especially public school teachers, stand in front of the classroom. So someone could sit for a while, but even sitting, it's hard to control and discipline a student, for example, if you're sitting all the time. So what happens when your body begins to break down is another challenge. Thank God with technology we have a lot of potentials to move around that, but it's complicated. It's complicated.
Yeah. Deborah.
So the thing I thought when I was first looking at that is that we sometimes use the same word for work and for
Yes, that's true.
And so I think when we say choose life to find a work or a profession, I think there's something, they're saying something more complex than that. Now, we live in a time when we have the privilege, many of us, of being able to choose work which feeds us.
Yes.
That's not been the case for, it's still not the case for many people, and certainly wasn't the case 2 generations ago, right? My parents did work because it was work they could do and they could earn a living, not because it was something that they loved. But even when you're doing work which is work that you do in order to feed yourself and feed your family, I think maybe they're saying you need to imbue the way that you work or the way that you think about work or your practices with something holy.
Wow.
And that's how we choose life. That we, and as Jews we do that. We're supposed to say 100 blessings a day. Everything is supposed to be imbued with holiness. That even the most mundane, building, digging a ditch,
Cleaning a hospital room.
Right.
right, whatever it may be, is if we imbue it with something holy.
Yes, it's so true. I love that.
Beyond us, and it really is life-giving.
Yes, it's so true.
It's so beautiful.
I often, Deborah's saying a beautiful thing about the idea of infusing holiness into one's, whatever one contributes, whatever one's doing, whether it's something it's very, quote unquote, obviously, or one you're passionate about, or one that you have to do because this is what you do to earn a living. And I feel this often when I go to, for example, places like the hospice, when it's not just the nurses, but the people who are taking care of the facilities themselves, or those who are in seniors or infirm, and we go to visit them, or in hospital settings where it can be very difficult. There are people there that are truly angels. The work they're doing, they see it is not only simply making sure that the bed is properly functioning, but it's in service of something greater. And you can feel that. It's really profound. It's so amazing.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
is holy. I totally agree.
I am also, your words are so beautiful, Deborah, and I am also inspired by what Rabbi Eric is talking about. And I've actually incorporated it into my own work with the mikvah. As a rabbi, on the one hand, there are other people, thankfully, at this synagogue who clean the space for the most part, who turn on the lights, and who arrange the chairs, and I'm incredibly appreciative of that. But I clean the mikvah, and I get in there almost every day of the week, and I pick up every single hair off the floor, and I vacuum the carpet, and I take out the trash. And I have thought over the years many times that I could argue for that to fall under somebody else's job responsibilities, but it's really important for me personally. It's very humbling, and it's very important that I remain connected to the mundane and infuse that with holiness.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's take a look. Oh,
What,
Vesta,
people are fired up?
Vesta and Arthur.
Yeah,
Then we'll
Vesta.
take a look at one more text. Yeah.
So I think sometimes when people are in a state of stasis, even if they're not depressed, if it lasts a while, they can kind of lose sight that they can do anything. So for me, this happened before when I was taking care of my children and not doing something with my mind. And then suddenly, I don't think I can do this, and I don't think I can do that. And I have a friend/family member who moved, and he was an attorney, and he moved to a different state, thought that he was going to take the bar, and decided, no, he doesn't want to practice law. So now it's like, maybe I can be this, maybe I can be this, maybe I can be this. And he's gotten to the point after a year when somebody says, I'm not sure that that's really quite that big for you, that he says, why does nobody believe in me? And it's very sad because it's very clear that it's actually himself that doesn't believe in himself and he can't get started. So I think that can lead to depression, but it's also, I think, not necessarily, the person doesn't have to be depressed to be in this.
Yes. Great point. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very
So
profound.
Vesta's making a connection between this text, like what does it mean to be fully alive, and to just believe that you have the capacity to contribute to the world in some way. And oftentimes when people, even if they're not depressed per se, but feel kind of stuck or feel that some part of themselves is not activated, like, or you fall out of practice of using some part of yourself, it's easy to start feeling like you don't have anything to contribute. And then it becomes kind of a vicious cycle.
I'm just going to say, I literally talked about this with Natan this morning. We were discussing the upcoming football season, and he was asking me some questions about why doesn't Tom Brady, the most probably famous, why doesn't he just retire already? But why is he still doing it? Is it just now? And, I don't know. I didn't put Tom Brady on the couch. But I explained to Natan, I said, babes, most football players, their entire lives, and average like 1 season, 2 seasons if they're lucky. Due to injury, younger players are better than, we started talking about this idea, or just all kinds of life circumstances. So imagine playing your whole life, training everything for the basically, and you we discussed it, you make a lot of money, you do. But it's not just about that. Like when you finish that football career at 23, okay, or Brady who's 40-something, okay, one of the reasons he's staying on, there's no doubt about it, is it keeps him alive. He doesn't need the money anymore. And I'm sure his family says to him, you get hurt, what are you doing? You're traveling. Because it gives him
life.
And then the transition out of that is complicated when you even if you have enough money, you've transitioned to what. And I think it's this idea, like, you are something you're good at, and then when you're kind of or something you're used to even if you're not, you're just used to it. What happens when you're no longer in that setting? And there are careers where it's not expected you'll be able to do this forever. It's just not expected. Again, I think about the physical demand, but even let's say the mental demand. It's going to take a lot, like a pediatric oncologist. Like, I don't know anything, but you're dealing with regular basis, very sadly, children, and some of them sadly dying. How long can you handle that, a human being? Very difficult. So we have to think about what does it mean to transition out of that to the next stage. It's powerful, powerful.
Arthur, and then we'll take a look at one more text.
Yeah, be an restaurant owner for 40 years. Okay.
Yes, and employed many workers.
So to me, the Torah is really starts off with in the beginning. So literally, and so it's introducing time, which I consider to be the fourth dimension. X, Y, and Z, and then we have time. And we don't every day have the chance to go through a cosmological approach of why am I here and why did God do all of this. But each day, or at some point in our career, we do have the option of deciding or thinking about what we're doing. Does it make sense? Does it fit? Does it work in the world? And once you've made at least one decision, then it allows you to just get up each day and approach it. I don't have to each day make some lifelong decision. I just say, today my job, my career has allowed me to approach it in a humble, being of service to my fellow humanity, and I don't have to worry about the reward or the content for myself. I'm just part of the service.
That's beautiful, Arthur. I love that. I'm touched by a few things you said, but Arthur was specifically saying that, like, over the course of a career or a long career, I'm adding a little bit in here, that one may have lots of thoughts about the longevity or where the journey goes, but when you look at time, which Arthur's saying is really, that's the foundation of the Torah, establishes time in the beginning, then you might say, well, I don't know necessarily long term what's going to happen or be, but on this particular day, I chose today, this moment, I chose to do X, do this job. And I was very touched by this, but this is actually maybe a sermon thing, so heads up on this. I heard it once from a person in our community who was in recovery from substance abuse, still is. And he was saying, like, someone asked him or something, how long have you been sober or something around sobriety? And he says, like, I don't know if I'll be sober for the rest of my life. I just know that I can do it today and hopefully tomorrow. But that I don't go anywhere beyond today. And you know what? That's not just about sobriety. That's actually, I think, a lesson for all of us. Like, today is about all I can really hold within my hands, really. Maybe. It's a great point. Very good point.
Let's take a look at one more text here where it says Rabbi Elazar Hamodai. So Rabbi Eric, will you read that?
Rabbi Elazar Hamodai says, if you will listen to the Lord your God diligently, it says heed him diligently, doing what is upright in God's sight. From Exodus, this refers to business affairs. It teaches us that whoever is honest in their business and other people find it delightful to deal with them is considered as though they have personified the entire Torah. By the way, I want to say it's interesting here. Both honest and it's a delight to deal with them, okay?
That's quite the line to walk.
Right, so it's a business person who you both think, this person's honest, and they're nice and a mensch, okay? Because not some people have one or not the other, okay? Okay, so it's nice to have both, okay?
Yes, so just like the first text where we get this teaching, choose life. Well, what exactly does that mean? So in this case, this verse from Exodus,
Be upright.
you know, follow God diligently, do what's upright in God's sight. What does that mean? And for Elazar Hamodai, he says, it's about being honest in your business. And as Rabbi Eric emphasized, that means both being honest and delightful.
Delightful.
Okay.
Can you say them as your
this-
business partners? They're delightful.
Yeah, and this kind of reputation that you would earn in your business dealings is equal to personifying or embodying the entire Torah. This is really quite a statement, I think, and speaks to the nobility of honest work and building a good reputation. Yeah. What do you think about why would you think that
Aaron's
this
fired up.
actually means equal to the whole Torah? All right, Aaron, Ellen, Robin.
So I work at Kohl's. I'm in the retail environment.
Yeah.
And I specifically work at the Amazon return.
Oh, I know that does.
Oh boy.
I'm a little familiar.
And I try to be as nice as possible. I mean, I have to, it's my job.
Yeah.
But sometimes people get upset when they've done the return and it says UPS store instead of Kohl's, and they can't return it to Kohl's because
You can't do it.
they get a little upset with me, and I just have to be honest with them. And
Yes.
I think that it is hard to balance. It's important to be honest, and it's important to say it as delightful as
Right.
you kind of have to do that as part of your job. And I think that for the most part, people are gracious about it. And that personally is what has made me continue to stay with my job. That people, they understand it's their own fault. And they move on. And I think that
Funny.
for me it's not important just as far as me doing my job. I think it's just an important part of a relationship between the one doing business and the customer.
If I could just say what
Yeah.
Aaron said beautifully about she works for Amazon Returns. Some people make mistakes
Kohl's,
at
yeah.
Kohl's, and then they don't act their highest. We'll put it that way. Okay. Now, and Aaron's basically like she tries her best. First of all, to be honest, can't do it, but also to try to be delightful. And I want to just add up one more point. Aaron, I think is really powerful about this, by the way, and I think this is a rabbi. Okay, is that there's kind of a karmic chain going on there, right? If you, as a customer service person, we'll just say for a moment, and I know that's not how rabbis are, but on some level, we're doing something similar.
We do
okay,
sales.
is that like someone comes to you with their stuff, and they're upset, and it may have nothing to do with you, but they're upset at the situation, and they have nowhere. In the Torah, it's called a scapegoat. They have nowhere to lay it down, so they lay it down right on your plate. It's your plate. My child doesn't get good grades. It's Aaron's fault. Okay, it's the rabbi. I mean, they didn't say that, but they had a bad day. They got cut off. There's a million different reasons. The question now is like, okay, I just got an egg laid on me. Okay, I have this egg. I'm holding. Now the question is, am I going to hold this egg and become undelightful because it's going to upset me and I'm going to become undelightful? And it's hard sometimes to take that egg and stick it. But I do think it's a worthy goal, both because it's like good for the world to be delightful. It's good for me, but it's even healthy for our own soul to say, you know what? I'm not going to let my delightfulness be damaged by this person's bad day. And frankly, they may, frankly speak, compassionate. They're having a bad day. I actually can feel badly for them. That doesn't mean they deserve to abuse the employee, but I can understand that they have bad days. But I'm not going to let that change, because if I let that go in too much, I will become an undelightful person, right? All the time. And I'm sure in retail, I know that's true. I worked, especially when I was a teenager, a lot in college in retail, and you get a lot of people who, and now I think today it's more like on technology and phones, and there's like a distance with COVID. Sometimes people like are just not in a happy mood, the masks. So I think it's powerful to stay delightful even when you've been given a bad thing with somebody. It's not easy, but important. All right, it can poison you, right?
Yes,
Ellen. Yeah.
Which
Correct.
basically means if
Mm.
If you want people to be honest with
Yeah.
you, you need to be honest with them.
Great.
Because what goes around will always come back. And it's a circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ellen, I just want to say, Alan's doing the Hillel. When, I'm jumping on you,
It's
but I
okay.
think it's so funny because Alan, I think it's important to think. By the way, coming back to Aaron's great point, and I think a lot of people forget this. Sometimes I see it, is that if you actually want the retail person to do what you want, it's not often best first approach to bring out every launching tirade. So, Aaron, I really made a mistake. Can you help me with the ambulance? Now she's saying she can't, but if you do it nicely, better shot. And then you're even saying also, at least be honest about it, right? If you're honest, I find if you're honest with the person and say, I honestly messed up with X, sometimes the person actually has compassion on you. Or be honest in your dealings, then they'll be honest with you in return. But if you expect that you're going to trick people and you won't get tricked, not going to happen. I think it's Ellen's great point. Great point.
Robin, Adi.
Yeah.
I totally agree with this. And I think about what would it take to be an honest person and to be a delightful person. Well, first of all, you can't have any ego.
Mm.
And so, if you think about all that the Torah teaches us about being grateful for everything and
Yes.
to treat your stranger nice, and I could go on and on and on and on. If a person is really living out those values that we're taught, they will be an honest person and they'll be a delightful person. And they will be personifying the Torah. And I always have this thought. This is off the subject a little bit, but if everybody would truly practice their religion, the core of everybody's religion, there would be peace in the world. And it comes from that. If they just embraced those basic lessons that we're given to live a good life.
Oh,
Great.
I have another idea of this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Robin's also just, a few ideas she brought forward, but this idea that that to be honest, it's about limiting your ego, about being humble, being grateful. These are core messages of the Torah, core message of multiple religions, if not all religions. The question is whether we're following it and able to actually follow it. And I just want to you just inspired me, Robin, again. Honesty versus delightfulness, right? Now, honesty, I think we could probably argue this one Talmudically, but honestly, I could probably assess, or I know, was I being honest in this deal? Yes, no. But delightful, it's actually out of my hands. I'm going to get judged by other people whether I was delightful, right? So that's both good and bad. Now, on the one hand, someone could just decide they have a bad day and I'm not delightful. But if a goal is to kind of be seen communally as delightful, that requires other people to evaluate me. So I think it's a different
relationship.
It's a relationship.
So my
yeah.
work
Honesty is
to do good work.
Right, and be honest
And
about
all
it.
that- and all
to,
that
to
that
have integrity
means.
about what I did. I can't stop if they, disagree. I know it's
My reputation
Right.
ultimately is in the hands of
other
others.
people.
And
That's what-
hopefully I do enough good work that the reputation then just feeds organically. But I certainly know that we know,
Yeah.
and I imagine all of you do as well, there will always be a couple people who see things differently for
Correct.
whatever
That you're
their
not delightful.
reasons are. And I don't have control over that. That's actually very painful.
And I just want to say, just by the way, this also gives a little rahmanis and compassion on the person who does a lot of great work, great, delightful 98% of the time, and has a bad day. Okay?
Absolutely,
Does
that
that mean they're
happens too.
never delightful? It's a little hard. Okay?
Yeah.
People make mistakes. Can we set up and see a track record of delightful behavior
Yes.
and not just say the person's totally undelightful? Like,
Right.
it's another interesting way to look
Yes,
at it.
yes. Okay, Adi,
Yeah.
we'll head
Yeah, Dee.
head around back.
Something a little bit different than what you're going for, but I feel like when I think of like strength in a person or like a tester, like not even like their moral character, I think of like the ability to take criticism. Like that's like way up there for me. As someone who makes mistakes constantly, like I'm really like not like this is like so many times all the time. Is that like one you like become like a damage control expert? You're like, okay, this sucks. But like, let's make the best of it because I know it's gonna happen again. You know what I mean? And I just think that lots of times in life, the honest thing is not the delightful thing. It's not
Correct.
or to take.
Correct.
To take
That's a
obviously,
great
but
point.
Also to give, it's hard because you want that person to feel happy. But even if it's not delightful in the moment, it's
Right.
Like,
Fair.
people told me things in life where I'm like, you're telling me I have to work on myself? Like, what are you talking about? Like, do you know who you're talking to right now? You know what I mean? And then I'm like, what, 5 years older, and I'm like, wow, I was pretty stupid till I go to thee. And
Yeah.
Wow.
looking back, like,
That's
I'm
so
really glad they were honest, because now I can have the delight of seeing that. You know?
Wow, baby. Such amazing. I love this. Dee is really bringing together, and I'm summarizing here, honesty and delightfulness, right? Being honest with someone, especially when it's a feedback, it's not going to always come across delightfully.
Very difficult.
Right? How do you come across delightfully in giving honesty? And how do you receive it in a way that make you later more delightful? That's
And he's
probably the
also
greatest
saying
challenge.
That, it may not feel delightful in the
In the moment.
Very few people enjoy
Right.
both
Oh,
receiving
let's hear
or
more
giving.
negative feedback. Yeah.
Difficult, yes. But it might feel delightful. There
that's-
might be actually a kind of joy.
And how will you get delightful? You're not going to get
over
there
time.
over time.
Yeah.
This is a
All
fire
right, go ahead.
conversation.
We'll-
All right,
yep.
we'll go around. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
The way it's written, I just see this as, well, it's important for, say, like Erin to be delightful and honest in her work. It's more responsibility for Paul, who has more responsibility.
Yes, that's true.
And business, the business owners in our communities to handle their affairs in an honest and open way that creates a delightful experience, both for those people like us that are buying stuff from them, but also for their employees.
Mm.
Labor Day, it's the responsibility of those people that are generally seen as sort of the high folks of our communities, and the wealthier folks of our communities, that they would then have a responsibility, and that embodies the Torah, to treat their workers
Yes.
and their people and their vendors and their customers with honesty and grace to be able to spread that around.
Fantastic.
Yefeh.
That's where it starts and ends.
Yeah. So reminding us that, again, it's in some ways it's most significantly upon the ones with the most power, the most control, the most financial responsibility, the Kohl's level, the Kohl's owners level and the managers there, to create a consumer experience, both for the customer and
the
for
employees.
their employees, that will lend itself towards a full embodiment of Torah values and sort of really placing responsibility where it belongs. Okay, back, and then we'll
Yes.
circle around
Ma'am,
again.
please.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay.
When we first read this, somehow it popped into my mind when we bought a car in 2014.
Oy vey.
Car is usually a terrible experience.
Not honest, not delightful. Okay, go ahead.
We made an offer online, they made a counter offer that we thought was reasonable, and we just said, okay, there wasn't this, let me go talk to my manager.
Right.
I'm down $500. We made an offer, they made a counter. We said, okay, because it was within the range that we had gone in. And we came out of that experience feeling that they had been, maybe not delightful, but, they certainly had been, we felt they'd been honest. They hadn't tried to
Right.
screw us around.
Yeah.
And then we took the car there for service, and I always felt that the service department was doing honestly by me. And so, I recommended them to friends all over. If you're looking for a Honda, this is the place.
Mm-hmm.
And whether anybody did that, I don't know. But it was we moved away from there a year ago. So we bought it in 2014 and moved in 21. So for 7 years, they were our go-to place.
Wonderful.
Because they had dealt with us honestly.
Mm.
And we experienced it as
A pleasant experience.
Pleasant experience.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. maybe extreme. Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to add, I know we're getting kind of long here, but it's a beautiful point about the car industry in general, its history of back and forth and dishonesty and not delightful, but you had an honest, you feel, and relatively speaking, delightful experience, and that led you to actually recommend and speak positively. By the way, Dan Ariely, professor at Duke, who spoke here at Beth Meyer, has written a book about this exact issue, that he believes that you should give away a lot of things in general, not just in business, for free and give of yourself a lot. Even though you'd be perceived that you're giving yourself away, and obviously you shouldn't do it to a degree which you are really sacrificing who you are. But you should give a lot because what it engenders is a positive feeling towards another person where they actually will do things for you. So therefore, for example, a car, one way to make a car makes money is they get the most amount of money from you, but then they actually lose your business in the future, and they lose your recommendation, and they lose your service department, and all that stuff. So it's another flip around. It says, no, actually be more generous, more helpful, more kind, more delightful. You'll actually generate their business, maybe even for their second and third car and their friends. So it's another way of looking at it as a longer-term investment about being delightful. Yafeh. I see Maggie back there.
Yeah, Maggie, Shelly,
Okay.
Vesta,
All
and
right,
then we'll
we're going to wrap
wrap
up. Okay, Maggie, go ahead.
I want to go back to what you said, Rabbi Jenny, about people with whom you disagree. Because in my work, I deal with a lot of people that I disagree with, politically and otherwise.
Maggie's a journalist.
Yes.
And I think that you know, when you approach it, you have to be, it comes back to what you were saying about seeing each other as equals. And you can't come at each other aggressively. You can't say, you know, I think you're wrong, I think you're wrong. You have to come at it and say, like, look, I understand where you're coming from. I understand why you see things this way.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me? Or this is how I see things. Can you explain why you think that's wrong?
Yeah.
And if you're not honest with each other, then the whole thing falls apart. If you lie and say, oh, I totally agree with you, then you're not going to get anywhere because, one, when they see your story, because I'm a journalist, and if they see your story and then they see that you're painting them as a schmuck, then they're going to sue you for libel, and then you're in big trouble. So you have to be honest, you have to be completely upright, and you have to come to each other as equals, completely calmly and very delightfully.
Wow.
Wow, yeah. So Maggie's a journalist, and she's just building on this idea that, like in any business, you're going to have people that you disagree with, people that you don't see eye to eye on, especially in your field. But the importance is really coming in every time with a stance in which you honor the fact that this is another person. We're the same. And we can disagree, but we do so respectfully. We do so with a sense of holding the other person's dignity and our own in mind.
Yep.
Beautiful. Shelly, Vesta.
Well, 45 plus years in retail.
Yes.
There is always going to be the person who comes in angry. They're looking for a fight. To me, that has always been a challenge.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I find the best way to come out ahead for everybody is to pour on the delightfulness.
Oh, kill him with kindness.
Without giving away the store, just be so nice. They don't know how to react.
Yes.
It sort of throws off their fight completely.
Yeah.
That is a great point.
Nice strategy.
I think it's tremendous advice.
Yeah. Shelly, after literally 45 years in retail, saying that, some people come in, they're ready for a fight from the beginning. They're angry, they're hurt. And how she's learned, it's still hard after that many years, which I appreciate you saying, and that one of the best strategies you found is to just lay on the kindness.
Be super delightful.
And they don't even know what to do
But
with
not
it.
necessarily give in. I think it's powerful. That's something you're going to change, but you're going to do it delightfully. It's a beautiful point.
Yeah.
All right, was it
That's
Vesta?
that. Yeah.
So it's interesting because we often think of Jews as part of the labor movement, which we certainly were.
Right.
But it's interesting to look at some of the roots of it back in the old country. I was writing about this little town in Poland this summer, and I was looking at the interwar period specifically. And it was really interesting to see how they dealt with liberalization of labor
Interesting. Wow, that's within the Jewish community. Cool.
Oh, it's us Jews against the world, but actually it was quite common inside of Jewish communities to exploit their poor as well.
Wow. What a
Yeah.
story.
That's an amazing
He's the
story.
historian.
Vest is talking about, in interwar period in a small village in Poland that we Jews, like, not only have we, of course, been at the forefront of various labor movements, but we too have exploited
Our own
our
Jewish
own
communal poor. Yeah.
And yes, and I think it's just such a powerful reminder that
It's everywhere.
that we are the customer, we are the business
So, we're
person.
the
Like,
owner.
this is for
All of us.
And perhaps that is also the connection between kind of embodying the Torah. Like, lest you think that somehow this doesn't apply to you. It does. It applies to all of us. And we all have it's a practice, It's really, really beautiful.
Awesome,
Thank you
Dr.
so
Torah.
much, Vesta,
Awesome.
and
Yasher
everyone
koach.
for your
Yasher
insights.
koach. Great learning.
Yasher koach. We're going to continue
Can we
now.
rise together on page 184, Chatzi Kaddish?
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
במה תברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי,
בחייכנו ויומנו חיינו בית ישראל, בעגלה
בזמן
קריבים ורועמים, שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מהוויה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעלמין כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה תמירה ואהבה ואימרו אמן.
So cover our feet together. We face the arc towards Jerusalem. 185 through 187 together. Rest is done silent.
Adonai sefata tiftachu v'yagi tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei avodeinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל העליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות אמהות, ומביא גואלים לבניהם למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ופוקד מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיים איתי מטרה להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחלקל חיים וחסד, מחיים מתים ורחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, נשעני עפר, מחמוך בר גבורות, ומדום אליו, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
אמן.
נריצך ונקדישך, כצאתי אכסר וקודש, המקדישים שמך בקודש. הכתוב על יד ימיך, וקרא זה זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. כבודו מלא עולם, משרתיו שואלים זה לזה, האם יקום כבודו לעומתם, ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומו הוא ייתן ברחמים ויחונם המייחדים שמו, ערב ובוקר בכל יום תמיד. פעמיים ביעבר שמע אומרים, שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו. מלכנו הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שיננה כל חי. יהיו לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, אם לא לעולם, ראי ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד קודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, בשבחך אלוהינו מפעיל משנה עולם ועד, כי על מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל
Amen. 203.
In Eloheinu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalkeinu, en Kemoshienu, Micheloheinu, Michadonenu, Michemalkeinu, Michemoshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shektiru. Avotenu lefanecha toret asamim, עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות ולא עזבנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Page page 207. Invite those in mourning or observing a yard site, the Shabbat. Mourners Kaddish, page 207. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehei
shmei Rabba v'rach le'olam u'lamei almaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shmei l'kudesha
B'richu.
Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Damiran bi'alma v'yimru
Amen.
Yehei shlam haraba min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav. Yaseh shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'yimru
Amen. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Great to see everyone. We invite Rick Kane from the Board of Trustees and Ritual Chair off for announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Welcome.
Shabbos.
I am Rick Kane, a member of the Board of Trustees. The announcements today have mostly to do with the high holidays, and if you know anybody that's been putting off the things that you're supposed to be doing, there's a deadline coming up, and it's this Tuesday, including if you have reserved seating or guest ticket requests, you need to reserve childcare or would like to memorialize your loved ones in the Book of Remembrance. Please fill out the form. They're on bethmaya.org. And there's also, after Shabbat, for all of this, something you can, the QR code for if you're young, you can scan and put into your phone. Additionally, events in this week's edition, jam-packed. Helpful videos, instructional videos starring our two rabbis for what to do on Bima honors. 3 Hebrew class options. Our September 10 special Shabbat guest speaker will be Deborah Bruner, who is a passionate advocate for Jewish community, history, heritage, and identity. Entering the new year, 5783, mindfully with Rabbi Dr. Jenny Solomon, Rabbi Jenny, on September 11th. It's a holy day of remembrance, I guess. The conservative Maserati movements, Sehilot night live learning sessions on September 17th, and high holidays restorative yoga on September 18th. And it occurs to me that that last one's an example of some of these, that they're participatory. It's not like television. They nurture you and nourish you for preparation for the high holidays.
Amen.
Let's
Amen.
make the most of them.
Beautiful,
Shabbat
Rick.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Thank
Shalom.
you,
Yeshua
Rick.
Koach, Rick. Beautiful
Yeshua
job.
Koach.
So grateful for Rick. All of his service. So much work on the ritual committee really means the world, Rick. We appreciate it so much.
Amen.
All right. Minyan tomorrow at 9, of course. Monday morning, 7:30 on Zoom. Back on. And Wednesday at 5:30. We do our little announcement, our welcoming new people. If you're a newbie or visiting or new-ish still, we're going to embarrass you.
You
The
guys
new
are still new-ish.
Who you were? The people in the back?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
please. Yalla, who are you
We-
guys? I remember first time. Okay. Right, that's right. Yep.
Good, good,
Glad
good,
to have you
good.
here, Joyce and
Good.
Good to see you guys.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Welcome,
it's great to see
Joyce
you. Welcome.
and Don.
Joyce and Don, fantastic.
All right, and in the back corner with your son.
Yes, yes. Tell us you got any come. We'll make you do it again. You are. Come stand, new so everyone can see you.
Nathan Spencer and Eli Spencer.
Cool.
Eli, great.
We are in the midst of me getting my my Judaism back in practice.
Cool.
Mostly instigated by this guy who's been very interested in it.
Great. Way to go, Eli.
Exploring with Kathy about Hebrew school and stuff like that.
Wonderful.
Hopefully also.
Yay.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Glad to have you.
Wonderful.
Welcome. Welcome back. Way to go, guys. All right, Aaron,
Awesome.
who's here? I have a sense of who it is, but tell us who's here. We got to stand up, everyone can see.
Yay.
Awesome. We met before, I know. Awesome. Wonderful.
Wow,
Amazing.
wow.
That's so fantastic. Of
Yes.
course. Yeah.
So
Cool.
beautiful.
We're so.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah. You should be proud of her. Erin is an all-star. Yes. This is not confession. Don't worry. Okay.
We don't do that here.
Wonderful. We noticed. Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow. Oh. That's
Awesome.
amazing.
We are so glad to have you here. Erin really is an all-star. It's such a blessing to have in our community. We're so psyched. And just know, the way we see it, is that Erin stands on the shoulders. She got here
Yes.
because of you.
I was going to
and
say
we're
you
grateful
should
to
be
you.
proud of
Very proud.
yourselves too, with the kind of support you've lent her.
Amen.
You
Amen.
really are a model and inspiration for
We
all of us.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're always welcome. All right, cool. All right, see behind, ma'am, in the red. Yes, you in the red sweat. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
scarf, yeah.
I was going to move about before, I think, but yes. Oh.
Yay! Wonderful. Ah, all right.
Which
Claire,
town? From
yeah.
Cleveland? From? Oh, wow. Okay.
Cool.
Got it.
Wonderful. And Claire, are you new to the area? Yes. Okay. Oh my gosh, so new. All
So,
right.
so not near East Liverpool. Is that East Liverpool near you or no? That was Jenny's first pulpit ever as a rabbi, East Liverpool.
I had a
Ohio.
congregation of about 22 people.
East Liverpool. Ohio.
And even there, I had detractors.
We're so
Not
glad
that
to have
many.
you here, Claire. It's fantastic. All right, any other newbies or
just
newish? Think we got it all? All right.
All right.
Let's wrap it
Good.
up.
Adon Olam, page
211.
211. Adon Olam, Asher Malav, Tzerko, Ezinira, V'nasa, V'chefzeko, Adon Olam, B'yacharei Tiflot HaKol, Levado Yimlok Nora Adon Olam, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Hover, Ve'hu Yeh V'tivara Adon Olam, Ve'hu Echad Ve'yein Sheni, L'am Shelo Le'achbir Adon Olam, Ve'li Reishi, Ve'li Tachli, Ve'lo Z'hamisra Adon Olam, Ve'hu Eli, Ve'chai Oli, Ve'tzorcha li V'yetzara Adon Olam, Ve'hu Nisi, Omanos li, Ve'rakosi Ve'yom Ekra Adon Olam, Yado, please rise. Ruchi, Ve'tisha Ve'ayira Adon Olam, Ve'im Ruchi, Geviyati, Adonai li Ve'lo ira Adon Olam. Al Kain Berach Adonai et Yom HaShabbat Vayikachehu Savri,
L'chaim.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Borei Peri HaKafeh.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lehem min haaretz. Amen. B'teva, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Kiddush, Kiddush, Yeshkoyach.